I was introduced to Ellie's Place by longtime supporter and board member Anita Bone. She invited me to my first breakfast almost 15 years ago, knowing how much the mission would resonate with me. Just a few years prior, I had given birth to our middle daughter, Audrey, who died just an hour after she was born. Our oldest was only 2 at the time, so we did not utilize Ellie's Place's services then, but we know intimately how profoundly a death can affect a family, as well as the healing that can come from finding a community of people who know and understand your grief. We have been supporters of Ellie's Place all of these years because we know how vitally important this work is for families in our community, and also as a way to honor the ways one special baby girl grew our hearts during the short time she was with us.
I first became familiar with Ellie's Place when I was the assistant principal at Saline Middle School approximately 8 years ago. It was then that Ellie's Place first came to Saline Middle School to support our students who had lost a special person in their lives. I had the privilege of seeing the immediate impact that Ellie's Place had on our students who lost loved ones but could not get to Ellie's Place because of time, distance, lack of transportation, or whatever other barrier. It is such an honor to have Ellie's Place come into our school to support our students alongside our counseling staff.
I can remember attending my first Ellie's Place breakfast at the Sheridan in Ann Arbor. What really resonated with me was when one of the families was speaking and their son said, "Before we went to Ellie's Place, I felt like I was the only one going through this. But then at Ellie's Place, I realized I was among others who had lost a parent." This really stuck with me. When I was just 5 years old, I lost my father to suicide. In addition, my wife lost her father to cancer when she was only 15 years old. We didn't have an Ellie's Place with others our age to be able to talk to or understand this grief and the loss of a parent. From that day at the breakfast, I came home and told my wife Kim about this amazing organization, and ever since, we've been supporters of Ellie's Place.
So my background is in education, and my heart has always been to serve children and families. And when I was working for the schools, a group from Ellie's Place came in to do a presentation for the school group I was working for to just let us know what the services that Ellie's provided. And during that presentation, it was almost as though someone took their hand and just strummed it across my heartstrings. It was so moving and so powerful, and I just knew that this was an organization and a group I wanted to be involved with in some way. During that time, I had absolutely no spare minutes in my schedule. There was no way I could be involved at that time. My schedule was jam-packed, and this was back in like 2009, I think. But fast forward like 10 years later, in 2019, I was driving past a billboard near my house, and there was a big giant message on the billboard that said, "A place for grieving children and teens," and it was for Ellie's Place. And I knew that everything had just sort of orchestrated for that time, that this was the time I could be involved. My schedule had opened up, I had spare minutes, so I put in my application to be a volunteer facilitator. And so now I work with middle schoolers every Tuesday night, and it's powerful, it's impactful every evening. I went through trauma as a middle schooler, not the death of a family member, but it was significant, and I didn't have peers to support me that had gone through the exact same thing I had gone through, and it was really difficult being alone and struggling through those feelings. So having something like Ellie's Place where we support one another, we build those relationships, and we work through everything together is just really powerful and really important, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it.
My Ellie's Place connection started nearly 10 years ago when I reached out to my work colleague, Mark Muting, to learn about community organizations in the Ann Arbor area in an effort to give back. At the time, I was really struggling with finding an organization I felt passionate about. Mark's wife, Mary, was an instructor at the time, so he knew a lot about Ellie's Place. As soon as Mark started to describe their mission of helping grieving children who had lost a significant loved one, I immediately felt a strong connection. So after attending a Healing Hearts tour and a breakfast, I knew I had found an amazing organization with wonderful people and a culture truly devoted to grieving children and their families. Since then, I've been a table captain every year. This year's breakfast is especially important as it marks the 50th year since my father's death. October 8th, 1971 forever changed my life. It would have been so nice to have an Ellie's Place for me, my 5 siblings, and my mom. Growing up, we could have all used a worry rock, a scream box, and a memory book. That's my Ellie's Place why.